To discuss the latest on the tax bill and the potential shutdown situation, let's bring in Jimmy Pafikoukis from the American Enterprise Institute and Mattie Duppler from the National Taxpayers Union. Mattie, what do you say to what Chuck Schumer said there? Do you think he's right that the money won't be used for wage increases if and when it's brought back or when taxes are lowered? Or can you say, okay, what if they do more buybacks or pay higher dividends? That's not such a bad thing, is it?
It's not such a bad thing. I mean, look, we've got an economy where there's very little activity happening up until recently, and we should be looking at policy that encourages growth not only in business profits, but where they can invest and offers opportunity for more of that investment here at home. You know, the question really for Senator Schumer is, what is his alternative? He is continuing to promote the current code, which keeps investment overseas and doesn't allow businesses to repatriate profits at all. So if you listen to Senator Schumer and his policy prescriptions, that money never comes back, and we certainly never see any benefit from it.
All right, Jimmy, that's on the tax bill, but we also are talking about the possible shutdown. So we got two different stories floating here at the same time. What do you handicap it for us? Do you think we're going to see a shutdown come Saturday?
I don't think we're going to see a shutdown, but remember that then just pushes us to late December. And there's going to have to be another short-term resolution because they're not going to be ready probably by late December for a longer-term budget deal. So now we're talking 2018. But I think it's important to remember that with these government shutdowns, listen, there may be a political impact and there may be a short-term economic impact. But really beyond that, these things are negligible as far as affecting the economy. Again, heading to an election year, it looks bad if the public blames you for shutting down the government. But this is not going to derail the economy.
No, it won't do that, but it comes at a critical time when they're trying to reconcile the two tax bills. So that gets in the way. That complicates things greatly, right?
Well, I think they would prefer to set this aside, not have a shutdown, have a couple continuing resolutions, back at it in January, and focus on getting this tax bill passed. Because listen, the tax bill, everything we've heard like over the past few days is moving a little bit further from passing it. Everything we've heard is making it more expensive and harder to pass, not really coming together. We had a problem with the AMT. Now we're talking about maybe raising that corporate rate from 20 to 22%. So they still need to lock that thing down.
Mattie, you have any concerns about all of the above?
Yeah.
Whether or not the tax is actually going to pass, or whether there's going to be a shutdown?
Yeah, well, as always, I'm kind of the eternal optimist when you compare me to Jimmy P. But I think we're moving in the right direction. You know, the Senate last night appointed conferees, and there are a couple things that the Senate, when it was passing its bill, added back in that I think are of concern, in particular, putting the AMT back in there, the question of whether or not the SALT language stays. But in principle, these bills remain pretty much the same. The fact that it's going to make our businesses competitive again, in particular by lowering the corporate tax rate and delivering a middle-class tax cut, are the two prerogatives. And I think that the members of the conference here will be able to produce that in short order.
Naive question, Mattie. Okay, maybe a little bit disingenuous, but what's with the December 22nd deadline? What's the big hurry to get this thing done?
Well, so here's the thing about shutdowns and why we're always arguing over this. People might forget that this is all a result of the 2011 Budget Control Act. That's where a lot of this discussion is whether or not we allow relief in the spending caps that were implemented in that bill. Conservatives should once again be spiking the football on this. The Budget Control Act was what basically erased the increases in spending that Obama, Nancy Pelosi, Harry Reid put into law. So these are constraints on spending that conservatives long have been able to protect. This has been an exercise that we've now been engaged in since the BCA sequester started kicking in 2013. So I think that there's a path forward for Republicans to be able to pass this in the House and send it over to the Senate and have a bill that moves forward. I don't think that we'll be all here on Christmas Eve wondering whether or not Santa's going to be delivering a government shutdown.
I'm looking for wood. Let's knock somewhere. Thank you.
Knock wood, yes.
Jimmy P. and Mattie Duppler. Good to have you.
Knock on my head, that's fine. Let's go to our closing bell exchange where we are seeing another one of those days like yesterday. Not much volatility, slightly higher for the major averages.